So hello everyone, welcome to my fourth book review. This time I'm using a new microphone, so I hope the sound will finally be alright. And together, we'll go back to the year 2006, a time when cameras were starting to play one of the key roles in choosing a phone. And here I have a true legend from that era, the Sony Ericsson K800i, which was probably the best camera phone on the market at the time. But just for context, by this time, cameras and phones were no longer a novelty. The Nokia 7650 came out in 2002 and was the first to have an integrated camera, but it wasn't of good quality. In the following years, the resolution increased by about 1 megapixel per year, but it still wasn't quite there. The Sony Ericsson K800i already took decent photos, but it still only had 2 megapixels. And actually, there was a race to see who would release the first 3 megapixel phone. In the end, Nokia won with the N80, which is a very good phone. I'll definitely have one of these in a review here. I'm just waiting for the battery now, but when it comes to the camera, the Sony Ericsson K800 was simply the absolute best at the time. Starting with the design, it's an evolution of the previous K750i model. Quite simply, it's bigger in every way, whether it's the dimensions or the display resolution. In the video, you can see a comparison with the contemporary Nokia 180 and the old 6310i. It's really not a giant, but you can see that for yourselves. I also have to praise the front plastic, which looks like brushed metal and doesn't show fingerprints. I also have to mention the front camera for video calls or selfies. The quality is terrible, and as far as I remember, I actually never used it. 0.3 megapixels says it all. The back, on the other hand, features a metal camera cover with a big CyberShot logo. After sliding it open, I also see a small mirror for selfies. It's practical, and yet it's such a silly little thing, as the saying goes. The material on the back of the phone is matte plastic. The quality is very good, and the shutter button on the side of the device is also a practical feature. The charging and connection port is on the bottom, and of course it's the A-type connector used only by Sony Ericsson. A classic of that era, just like the memory stick micro memory card, or M2 for short. It is inserted from the side of the phone with a maximum capacity of 2 gigabytes. And of course it's only supported by Sony Ericsson, and I'm glad that a unified standard eventually caught on. If you remember, memory sticks, Memory Stick Pro Duo, M2S, or Memory Stick Micros, which are actually here in the K800, we also had SD cards, mini SDs, micro SDs, MMCs, XDs, and thousands of other formats. And as you can see, sometimes you don't even need politicians for a standard to be unified across all manufacturers. And now let's move on to the features. So what did you get for a starting price of about 13,000 crowns? A great display with a resolution of 320 by 240 pixels and a size of 2.1 inches. Precisely because of its small size, it amazed people at the time with its sharpness. 260,000 colors was also above standard. After all, we're still in an era when some models have 4,096 colors, or maybe 95,000. Those are all the phones with Windows Mobile 6. They simply couldn't display more, even if you equipped them with, say, a Super AMOLED. The 800 uses a basic closed system, and in today's terms, it's considered a dumb phone. At least Java applications help make up for it. Back then, you could download them from WAP. Nowadays, at least you can download them from the internet and transfer them from your computer via cable. But it's not necessary. The main apps, like the alarm clock, notes, reminders, calendar, and others, were already there long ago anyway. The same goes for the music or video player. By the way, we're already at the beginning of the end for MP3 players. A lot of people realized that they could now load plenty of songs they needed directly onto their phones. After all, with the 2 gigabytes that fit in here, you could easily get over 500 songs, 400 to 500 songs in standard quality without any problem. The question is whether there were also apps and other things on there, which is more than enough for most people, so they don't need yet another device, meaning an MP3 player. But the main reason to buy the 800 is the camera, as I already mentioned at the beginning of the review. 3 megapixels means you can view photos on your computer without any problems, and you can even print them, whether at home on your printer or of course at a photo lab. But the most important thing is that when you show the photo to someone, it's no longer about saying that green blob is me and that red one is mom. No, these photos are nice, sharp, and for their time, really good. And even today, when I look at the photos from this phone, when we were at discos, in clubs, at parties, or just hanging out at home drinking, the photos are still perfectly watchable today. When I compare it to a phone that's 2 years older, I really have to try to figure out who's who in the photos. But the most important thing, or perhaps the aspect I truly enjoyed the most, is this particular back cover right here. The very moment you gently slide the cover, the camera launches almost immediately, ready to capture your moments. Simple, practical, and great for snapshots. The second thing is, it does take a few seconds for the camera to start up, but for its time, it's just awesome. You can see sample photos right now. I tried taking close-ups, classic landscape shots, and photos of buildings. It can even handle panoramic photos. I didn't even remember that this feature was already there. Of course, it can't fully replace a compact camera, but for snapshots from parties, pubs, or trips, it's absolutely ideal. You can even photograph text, zoom in, and view it in usable quality. But what really makes night photography great and usable is the xenon flash, and it's just awesome. You can take decent quality photos at a party, in a bar, a club, or even on a river trip. It's ideal for capturing your drunk friends, both guys and girls, at a distance of about 2 meters. And believe me, I have some amazing photos from those years. And the video? I bet you haven't seen anything like this in years. Those incredible details, the imagination, and the view of the church on the water is just fantastic. The digital zoom works wonders. You'd almost have a hard time believing that's a church, right? In the absolutely perfect resolution of 176 by 144 pixels. That's just perfection. Of course, that was irony. The video was worthless even back then, and in those 18 years, not a single pixel has changed. On top of that, the phone doesn't even have a flash. It has a xenon flash, but since it doesn't have an auxiliary light, you can't record anything at all in the evening. The phone also came with 3 pre-installed games. Of these, the only one worth mentioning is 3D Tennis. 3D games on mobile were still quite new and fresh, so you can see a demonstration here in the video. It looked pretty nice. You could save them either to the memory card or to the internal memory. The internal memory had a capacity of 70 megabytes. That damn WAP here in version 2.0, but nobody cares because it doesn't work anyway, just like on the black and white Nokias. The operators have shut it down and I just don't know how to set it up so it works. If you know how to do it, please drop it in the comments below the video. I just couldn't figure it out. I'm sorry, I'm not able to show it. At most, we can look at the icon that used to terrify teenagers back then, so they wouldn't accidentally click on it, because connecting to the internet meant half your credit was instantly gone. So that's pretty much all we can show here. The inability to connect to the internet is really the biggest disadvantage of this phone, but actually of all phones from this era, because you can hardly connect any of them. Another, let's say, disadvantage is the atypical connector for charging, and of course for headphones as well. But you can use an adapter there, which I honestly didn't expect. I found it completely by chance on the internet, and it cost just a few crowns, so that's nice. And even memory cards are still available today. Those M2 cards cost about 90 crowns. I found them somewhere on Okro. I don't know how long they'll be available. Maybe in a few years you won't be able to get them anymore, but at the moment, even though I was surprised since it's technology that's over 10 years old, it's fine, you can still get them. Surprisingly, Bluetooth even connects to modern headphones. I tried Samsung Buds Plus and it connected. The problem is you still just can't play songs. The Bluetooth in this phone is simply too old a version and can't handle a high enough data rate. I tried a 128 kilobit MP3 and it just doesn't work. Maybe you could lower the quality even more, but who would want to listen to that nowadays? So if you want to use this as an MP3 player, you'll have to use a cable. Wireless headphones just weren't considered back then. We still have the investment potential left to discuss. These phones sell for anywhere from a few hundred to about 1,000. Those are the ones in the box with original packaging, just pristine, perfect, undamaged. I don't think you'll make a profit on them in the future, but you definitely won't lose money either. I doubt the prices will go any lower as long as you keep them in good condition. Despite a few minor issues, the Sony Ericsson K800 is still a nice and usable phone even today. If you can get past the lack of internet and really poor videos, it can still work and bring you joy even now. Thank you for watching my latest video. If you liked it, please give it a like and see you next time for another review. Bye.